right, welcome to the fifth installment of this Mumbi Masterclass on Trust. And today we are going to be talking about misconceptions that surround a trust. There's a lot of misconceptions from people. People don't even know what a trust is. They think it's me trusting Dion. So we are going to be talking about what are the misconceptions of a trust. And again, today with me is Dion Adams. And Dion, just starting off, is the thinking that a trust is only for the wealthy people. The cost involved in setting up a trust and running it is a lot. Would you want to start us from there?
Yes, I would say, one of the biggest misconceptions is the cost factor. People seem to think that it's only for the wealthy, so it must be something that's expensive. And I think the reason why that is because most people form their trusts via attorneys. So they pay a lot, for setting these structures up.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be with an attorney, it can be with an accountant. In fact, if a trust is registered, the one requirement from the master is the fact that an accountant be present as the trust is formed. Okay,
so there you have it. Basically we are saying that the formation of a trust is not an expensive affair. But one of the other misconceptions is that the administration burden. It's like you're going to use all these different structures. You're going to need all these experts. You're going to need a lot in terms of administration. And some people are like, let me just forget about that. Let me not get overburdened by administration. Would you say that that's a misconception, or is it true?
I would say, it is a misconception. Okay. People seem to think that, to administer a trust, it's a massive task.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it might be because one has to set up you have to open up a bank account. There's quite a bit of activities involved in starting off. But within a few months, it becomes second nature, and it becomes easier. So it's the administration burden is not, it doesn't have to be huge.
Okay, and we're talking about, when you're talking about administration burden here, we're talking about adherence to the Trust Property Control Act. We're talking about what has been stipulated in the trust deed. We're talking about the tax burden. Are all those not areas that I should be concerned about when it comes to running a trust?
Yes, firstly, a trust needs to be registered for income tax, and that's the first administration task the trustees would have. But with technology as it is, and during COVID, it's become much easier to do most of these functions, and most of them are doing remotely. You can actually register your trust remotely, but there are compliance factors. The trustees of the time being, for instance, you must copy and send in your IDs. When you actually register for tax, you must have a physical address. It's the same FICA phase compliancy requirements that one has when you open up an account at any bank.
Okay, good. The next one that I would like to just highlight here is the concept of the income tax. I mean, we all know that the income tax for a trust is much higher than a natural person. Isn't that a misconception? Because they say the income tax at this point in time is 45%. Isn't that much higher than the highest tax bracket for a natural person? Is that a misconception, or do you think it's correct when people are worried about the tax rate?
In fact, it's the same as the highest tax rate of a natural person.
Okay.
The highest tax one could pay in your individual capacity is 45%.
Yeah.
There are a few people in that specific bracket, but on the whole, it seemed most people see it as a misconception. I see it as an advantage, because with the high tax rate, of course, is it comes the conduit principle. So one can decide whether taxes are paid within the trust or whether taxes are paid after distribution.
Okay, so in itself is actually not a misconception. It's more about how well you structure the movement of or the flow of money within your trust.
Yes, it's just a matter of running your trust as a business, and understanding what it was formed for, and then actively administering that the trust according to the intentions of the founder.
Okay. One other misconception when it comes to trust is that I lose control of my assets. And I think this is a big one, because most of us want to feel close to our property, we want to feel close to our cars, we want to feel close to our houses and all that. What would you say about that? Do I lose control of the assets that I put in a trust?
Well, firstly, the other way, one of the ways to keep control of those assets is to actually form what we call a vested trust. I tend to move people more towards a discretionary trust, where the assets are managed by the trustees. One of the ways I would say you keep control is by appointing yourself as the first trustee. So if you are the trustee within your own trust, then obviously you've got to manage it for the benefit of the beneficiaries. So one of the ways in keeping some of that control is appointing yourself, and thereafter people you leave your legacy for, like your beneficiaries, your spouse, etc., etc.
Okay, so there you have it. Those are the misconceptions. But there's one other that Dion always has up his sleeve, and I want him to explain what this means. Is where he says there's a rules for the informed and there's rules for the uninformed. What exactly is this, Dion?
Well, it comes back years. Trusts originally, as it's a misconception was for the wealthy. Thereafter, we discovered that was not the case, because a trust it's for anyone. When in 1994 or 1992, in fact, because I believe the current government took over just before they took over officially, they introduced a new type of scheme, a new type of understanding, where we saw that rules were for the rich and rules were for the poor, instead of rules, before that it was rules for black people, rules for white people. Currently there's a different understanding. It's either you are informed or uninformed, and we seem to be playing according to the current rules more than what was previously engaged, or previously the hour of the day. Okay,
I mean that's quite interesting, because I think people have this misconception that a trust is something that is very secretive. It's something that can only be used by a certain type of people. But what we're saying is that it's more about whether you're informed about a trust or you're not informed. And I'm hoping that this masterclass is going to bring that kind of information to everyone who wants to use this kind of structure to protect their wealth and to build a legacy. Is that what informed and uninformed is all about?
That is what it's all about. That's why I refer to a trust for a purpose. If you might have watched this videos or one of the previous videos, and you see that you could benefit in any way, then of course, a trust is especially for you.
Wonderful. So there you have it. We've covered more or less the different misconceptions of a trust. Why people think that the administration of a trust is such a big burden, issues to do with the cost, issues to do with loss of control, and I think the general consensus here is that formation of a trust, one, is not a secret, and two, is that it's not as difficult as you might have heard from other people, and it should be as easy as making a decision to build a legacy. So next time we'll be talking about trusts compliancy. So join us, because this is going to be something that will help you understand the different aspects of being compliant, or having your trust being compliant. So till then, cheers, and see you then.
Cheers.